TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Well, good evening tonight. This is K&S Promotions. We're sitting down tonight to do a shoot interview in our first exclusive series, and tonight's interview will be done by former WWE superstar, Tough Enough #1 winner, Maven. Nice to have you, Maven.
Thanks for having me.
We know you got a busy night ahead of you. You're going to be going over to a show, and so we're going to get started with this. First thing we want to ask you is, were you a fan growing up?
Absolutely. I remember going to my first wrestling match when I was 7 years old, and I still remember who headlined it. It was Ric Flair versus Magnum TA. It was at the Richmond Coliseum. And growing up, I grew up in Virginia, and NWA was big when I was growing up in Virginia. And I remember every Saturday morning and Saturday evening watching NWA, watching on TBS, and watching people like Midnight Express, Four Horsemen, Rock and Roll Express, and yeah, I was the biggest fan.
Can you talk a little bit about your collegiate baseball career?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. I went to a small school in Virginia called Eastern Mennonite University. After I was in high school, I was a catcher in high school, so I got recruited to go to this school and play catcher. My first year there, I broke my hand, and they moved me to outfield, and I loved it. I hated catching. I was actually very excited to be moved to the outfield. When spent all 4 years there playing. My first 2 years I struggled a bit, and then my last 2 years I played center field my last 2 years, and was all conference for 2 years, and hitting the high 400s my last 2 years, and was played quite well, I'd like to think, and got a couple pro looks afterwards.
Were you drafted?
Was not drafted, no. I had a couple tryouts, and I moved to Portland, Oregon, and played on a semi-pro league out there. Hopefully to keep the dream alive. But that played 1 year out there, and then realized that it was time to hang it up. Wasn't gonna happen. I didn't hit for power enough. I was a good average hitter, but couldn't hit the long ball as frequently as an outfielder should. So.
Do you have any good recruiting stories?
Any good recruit? Yeah, I got a really good recruiting story. This is so I've just finished up my senior year. Just got done. I hit 459 that year, so yeah, quite respectable. I think it was top in the entire conference I played in. And so a Diamondback scout was flying in, and going to try me out, try a bunch of other guys out. And so me and my coach drove 2-hour drive to Richmond, Virginia for the tryout, and where they had their own pitcher to throw to us and everything. And so get there, get out of the car, walk around to the back of the car for my tryouts for about an hour. They run you, let you hit, let you throw. Open up the trunk, go to get my stuff, and my glove's not there. So I got my first professional tryout ever, and forget my baseball gloves. So. I don't think I made quite a good impression on him.
What do you think about steroids in baseball?
I don't think it's a big. I mean, is it a problem? Yeah, but I really don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, if it's Jose Canseco's book I read, Juiced, I liked it. I thought it was a good book, and I don't know. I think if people are willing to do something to make themselves better, why not? Why not? Is it? I find it hard to believe that steroids affects. Barry Bonds. Yeah, he's a phenomenal hitter. He's a great hitter, but his hand-eye coordination isn't due to steroids. I just don't believe that. Can he hit for more power because of it? Maybe. I don't know. But then again, long ball is what, puts ass in the seats. That's what, and owners know that. People don't pay money for tickets. They don't go out on a Saturday afternoon with their entire family to watch a pitching duel. They go out on a Saturday afternoon to watch guys like McGuire and Bonds and you know, all these great home run hitters from the past, and, you know, guys from the present, you know, knock the ball out of the park. You know, I personally, it's my belief. I don't see anything wrong with it. You know, they're grown men; they can make the decisions for themselves.
How did you find out about Tough Enough?
It was funny. I was actually, you know, a huge fan. You know, huge fan at the time of that Tough Enough came out. And I was watching Raw one night, and you know, like I did every Monday night. And I remember Jim Ross said, you know, hey, have you ever wanted to be a WWF superstar? WWF at the time. And I was like, well, of course I do. And because before Tough Enough came out, I had actually sent away for information on Shawn Michaels Wrestling School, and which was in San Antonio at the time, and UPW, which is out of California. I sent away for both and got packets of information from both of those schools. So when the Tough Enough thing came out, I mean, of course, I didn't think it was. I never thought it was an option, but you know, it's definitely. I saw them advertise it, and something caught my attention immediately, and actually sent my tape in the last day that it was available, and it was a joke. You know, it was me and my buddy laughing, making a joke. You know, I just never thought I'd get picked. I honestly didn't. I never thought I'd get picked. So who can think? Who can send a tape in and honestly think that they're going to get picked? So, and I didn't. I sent a tape in expecting to never hear from them. And actually, when I did hear from them, I thought it was my friend playing a joke on me. I thought he was ribbing me. So when I answered the phone and they said, you know, hello, you know, this is so and so. You know, I think it was a girl named Carrie. She's like, this is Carrie from WWF and MTV. And I was like, yeah, right, whatever. Click. Hung the phone up on her. And then I called my buddy up at work, and I was like, man, that was a nice joke. You got me. And he was like, I swear to you, I didn't play a joke on you. I was like, you didn't have a girl call me and tell me that she was from them? He's like, nah, I swear to God. So gladly for me, she called back about an hour later, and I apologized and took it from there.
What was on that video that you sent in?
It was me. I was in a suit, and I was in my kitchen, or in my dining room, right off the side of my kitchen. And it was just, I mean, it was, you know, me and my buddies, we, you know, big, huge wrestling fans, you know. You know, we're the guys who would, you know, get drunk at night and cut promos on each other. So it was just me. I was actually on my way getting ready to head to the gym. So I went up, put a suit on real quick, come down, and just cut a promo that I'd had in my, actually a buddy of mine helped me with the promo. He actually, I called him up. He's one of my friends who's really good at it. And he gave me some ideas of some things to say. And it was just me basically cutting a promo. I think we did it in about 4 takes. So it was, you know, not bad.
What was the process of the selection like?
Once I got to Tough Enough?
Yeah, what was the process like?
When I got there, I thought I had no chance. I mean, I'm walking into, you know, we're walking, you know, it's early in the morning. We walk inside, and there's all these big, gigantic, jacked up, you know, meatheads in there, and I'm like, fuck, you know, they're never gonna pick me. You know, I mean, at the time I was 200 pounds. You know, I'm 6'2". I'm definitely nothing to be, you know, be scared of. And yeah, I'm seeing all these jacked up dudes in there. I never thought they'd pick me. But, you know, we had an interview process, which included us going, you know, they had a ring set up at the time it was WWF New York. They turned into the world. They had a ring set up, and, you know, you walk into the ring and there's Jazz, not Jazz, excuse me, Jackie, Al Snow, Taz, Coach was there, and we had to do some sort of calisthenics for, I think, 30 seconds, then cut a promo. I winked at Jackie as soon as I got in there. So before I went to cut my promo, Taz cut me off and started ripping me right there. And, you know, let me have it. It was pretty funny, though. But I think that's what helped get me in. You know, because I remember when I was doing one of my interviews, I asked them, I was like, well, what are they looking for? And they said, be different. Do something that's different. Don't do what everybody else is doing.
Could you just pause for a minute?
Okay. Did you bond with anybody on the cast right off the bat?
Directly off the bat, I bonded with Greg and Josh. You know, because we went there thinking that Chris Nowinski, I mean, we thought he had it wrapped up. when I walked into the Tough Enough house, when I walked into that ring, the first time I walked into the ring, it was the first time I'd ever been in a WWF. I mean, in a wrestling ring. I'd never wrestled. I had no prior training at all. And Chris did. Chris had been training for, I think it was 5 months down at Kowalski's. And so, I mean, we're doing basic stuff. We're doing basic stuff like locking up, taking headlocks and stuff. And he knew how to do all of it. He knew it all right then. And, was good. So I bonded with Josh and Greg quick because we had to learn. I mean, we were learning from the start. But yeah, they were definitely the two guys that we started kicking it from the beginning. Definitely from the beginning.
What did your family think of your decision to enter the contest?
My mom she thought it was kind of, whatever. If this is what you want to do, try it. Go ahead. You better hope your teaching job's there when it's over with. I don't know if they quite took me seriously until I did win, until I actually, started wrestling. Then they were like, well, hell, this is something that, Maven wants to do. So, yeah. I don't know if they took me serious. Hell, I still don't know if they took me serious, but.
How real was what aired on TV and to how the experience actually was?
Honestly, it was real in some aspects and not real in others. I'll be honest with you, they made me look good. There were many nights when I went out, had a couple drinks, and probably came home stumbling that they didn't put on TV, that they very easily could have. They made me look really good. But then again, there was a lot of aspects of the show that they didn't put on. There was a lot of, it was hard. They went into it trying to, we went into the show, they were trying to break us, plain and simple. And, they made it very difficult. And 3 people quit, less than a week into it.
What was the biggest misconception you had about being a wrestler before you got there?
Good question. By far the biggest misconception that I had about the wrestling business was definitely that you're a superstar all the time, and that's not the case. That is not the case. People that think that they see pro wrestlers and they see these wrestlers pulling up in limos and stuff. That ain't the case. And they think that we fly all over the place first class. Nope. Or we get limos taken everywhere. Not a chance. Or we stay in fancy 5-star hotels every night. Nope. I've red roofed it many a nights. And basically, I don't think wrestling is as glamorous as people make it out to be. It's what it is, It's not the glitz and glamour that people think it is.
What was your favorite experience during the contest?
I guess by far my favorite experience during Tough Enough had to be just winning and knowing that, because I remember that thought when they announced my name that I'd won. I can clearly remember, and I've watched it back when I won. There was a blank look on my face, and I'm immediately thinking right then, my life will never, ever be the same. It's almost like, my life could have taken 2 different paths, and one way is wrestling and the other way is not. And it took, it took that way. And I remember immediately thinking, that nothing will ever be the same from this point on.
Who were you surprised was eliminated?
From Tough Enough? Nobody I was surprised was eliminated. Because in the season I was in, hell, everybody quit. I think the only elimination, they quit, or I think Greg had to leave because of a back injury. If they would have eliminated Greg, I would have been shocked because Greg was good. But, they eliminated Daryl and Chris, CT guy, CK, but neither of them were. And Chadwick was a good guy, but he couldn't wrestle. Neither of them, I wasn't shocked by any eliminations.
Any thoughts on Daryl?
Daryl was just a big crybaby. He was just by far a big crybaby. He was a big 350-pound puss. I mean, we get into the house and he's complaining of having a cold, and some sick baby, I guess, on the plane gave him a cold, and he's just sitting there bitching and moaning, and he was just a crybaby. And I think the world saw, whoever watched the show saw that, and when he was gone, I was like, bye, get out.
What was the toughest drill?
I think the toughest thing for me to learn was hitting the ropes. I mean, everybody learns. Everybody, you watch wrestling and you're always looking at people hitting the ropes. You're like, man, that was like fun. God, I want to hit the ropes. And I remember I used to beg Al, when we gonna be able to hit the ropes? Why can't we hit the ropes? And he'd be like, soon enough, don't worry. And then, it was, not only was it hard, but it hurt. And it left bruises on you. And then not only did it leave bruises on you, but it was difficult to difficult to get your feet down. And it was hard. It took me a while.
How did life change for you once the show started airing and it became popular?
Life, it didn't really change. Just having to answer people's questions a lot. Was basically, I guess, how life changed. Because where I was living, no one treated me any different. People would always come up and ask me questions about it and stuff, but it didn't really change that much, I guess.
Okay.
It changed once I started wrestling, and then I started getting asked all the time, the same questions you get asked everywhere. What's a rock like? Does wrestling hurt? No, it feels great. What do you think? Yeah, it hurts. What's traveling like? It's traveling. It's what we do.
Thoughts on Al Snow and Taz as trainers?
To be honest with you, Al's great. I mean, what more can you say about Al than hadn't already been said? He's wonderful. He's like a father figure. I'll forever be in debt to him for my wrestling career. Plain and simple. I am the small amount I was able to achieve in wrestling with WWE in the time that I was there. I attribute to Al Snow. And as far as Taz was a great trainer. Taz came in, busted balls, did what Taz does, and we all knew he was there. Taz is the kind of person that you got to gain his respect, and I respect people like that. And once you gain his respect, you're his friend, but you have to earn it. He's not gonna give it to you. And he's not gonna give it to you, and you have to earn it. And I can respect people like that. Hell, I like people like that. I appreciated him being like that.
What were the 24 hours like from the moment you won to the next day?
Whirlwind. It was crazy. We went out. I mean, they had a little after party for us. I had a bunch of buddies up in New York that night. We went out afterwards, went to Scores. I don't know. It was a whirlwind. And then the next day, we went back to New York. I was on TRL, and it was a crazy feeling knowing that my life would never be the same again, ever.
Did you think you were going to win?
To be honest with you, yeah, I did think I was going to win. I really did. I thought I was going to win from the bottom of my heart. I would say probably about a month going into it. I really did.
Really?
Yeah.
The guy in competition with you,
Josh, at the time, Josh and Chris were in competition with me. And, I mean, either of those guys could have won. But at the time where wrestling was, Chris was big. Chris had all the size in the world. Josh was a great technical wrestler. I mean, Josh was phenomenal in the ring. I could talk. I was looking at the people in the business that can make money. And the people that can talk definitely at the time were making money. Now, I thought I had to step up.
Yeah, I think when you did that one promo,
Yeah.
I think that separated you from the...
Yeah, it helped.
Yeah, I forget how was that sooner? Was that soon into it? I forget.
No, that was towards the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the
I think
show.
that was it. There was any doubt that just separated you right there. That was it.
Yeah.
I mean, as a fan watching it,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's it. It's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need to talk, like you said.
It was, I mean, in wrestling, you got to be able to talk. And you can have $1 million body, you can have all the moves in the world, but if you can't entertain people, then, what good are you?
Yeah. How soon were you contacted by the office after you won? They bring you right in?
You know what? I gotta give you WWE a lot of credit. Everybody knows that about my mom, at the time battling cancer. The office let me go home and let me be with her for probably, I guess, 2 months. And they were still in contact with me. And actually, for a good month, they were flying me to SmackDown and Raws every week. But in between that, they would let me go home and let me be with her. And so it was probably 2 months before they contacted me and said, it's time to go to Cincinnati. It's time to go to school.
What were your initial impressions of HWA and Les?
My initial impressions, I was nervous. I was scared to death. I remember walking in. The two probably most scared moments I've ever been was the first time I walked into a Raw locker room, and the second time I walked in, when I walked into the HWA locker room, because you walk into the Raw locker room and everybody there, they look at me. I'm a tough enough guy, whatever, and then but I'm not a threat to them. They're on Raw. I'm tough enough, whatever. I'm not a threat to them, so they can just hell with this guy. But the people in the HWA locker room, not that I was a threat by any stretch of the imagination, but I was there on their turf, and I was nervous about it. And I'll tell you what, man, to this day, everybody from that I was there with, I'm talking about Rosie, Jamal, Charlie Haas, Lance Cade, Shannon Moore, Jamie Noble. Everybody I was there with, it was just wonderful. Just wonderful. They took me in. They really did. Easy Money, I lived with Easy Money. Johnny the Bull. It was cool. I loved it. I absolutely loved Cincinnati. I did. It was a fun time.
Who did you enjoy working with most down there?
Easy Money taught me a lot. He worked with me. They had 2 rings set up there, and he would stay after with me or go off to the side and work on stuff with me all the time. So I definitely enjoyed it. I never got to work him in a match, but I did enjoy working with him, training and stuff off to the side. He was a good guy.
Did you ever feel guilty that you made it so easy, and compared to others, they had to struggle to get to where you kind of were?
Guilty? No. To feel guilt means you show remorse for what you did, and I'm not remorseful. I did what was offered, and I did it to the best of my ability. Do I understand when people don't think it was fair? Absolutely, absolutely. Did I have a shortcut into the business? Absolutely. And for people that are upset about that, I understand. I definitely do.
Did you ever get frustrated while you were down there?
If I got frustrated, it wasn't because of the wrestling. It was because of being away from home. It was being into something new. But I actually crazy. I had a great time in Cincinnati. I had a great time at HWA. I really did. It was one of those moments it was one of those times that going through it, you hate being there, and you're like, shit, I wish I could just go home and be on the road. But you never know what you got until it's gone.
You got called up pretty quick. How did that process go?
Crazy enough, I never got called up. I was in HWA, and we were at practice one day, and I got a call saying I would be flying that day to LA, and that was the day that I was taking on the Undertaker to and won the hardcore title off of him. So shortly thereafter, I never got called up. They just called me one day and said, you're going to start to do house shows. I started doing house shows with Al, tagging with him. Me and him started going on the road each and every week. And that was the end of my HWA tenure.
And what were your memories of your first angle with Taz?
Pain. I remember, I remember because what a lot of people don't know. Most people's first match is in a high school or with a trainer or wherever. My first match was on SmackDown. First match ever on SmackDown. And I remember walking out of the curtain and walking into the ring. And from the time I got into the ring, I didn't hear a thing. I could not hear anything. It was like everything was completely quiet. And it was like I couldn't even see the people in there. And I guess it was nerves. But Taz took care of me. He was great. He was wonderful to work with. He really was. He was my first 3 matches, and I'm actually honored that I'm very honored that I was able to wrestle him first. I would have wanted to be him or Al Snow.
There was a couple other trainers at Tough Enough, right? Wasn't there?
There were some female trainers.
Terry.
Yeah, and Miss Jack.
How were they as far as towards you?
Towards me, they were fine. Yeah, I mean, towards they basically worked with the girls and stuff a lot.
I think she was out. Terry actually, I think, was let go when this season was.
Yeah, as soon as Tough Enough was done, she was gone.
Oh, okay. She was through the entire Tough Enough, and then once that was over and it started airing, she was already out.
Yeah, I think not Terry, Tori.
Tori, you're right. I'm sorry.
Tori.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tori, Terry.
Yeah.
Speaking of the women, do you think that went how it should have went? The winner?
The Nydia?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think Nydia deserved to win. Taylor had the heart by far, but I think Nydia had the total package. I really do. I think Nydia was entertaining, had the look, and she was good in the ring.
How different was Taz working with him as compared to when he was your trainer?
Oh, night and day. Like I said, Taz is the kind of person that you got to earn his respect. And once I started earning his respect a little bit at a time, and actually my first week on the road, I was riding with Taz. So after them car rides, I got to learn a lot about him. And Taz will talk, and he's funny. He's the funniest man. He's so hilarious, and it was great, man. I got nothing but respect for Taz. I love Taz.
How were you treated by the locker room?
It was funny. I mean, my first day, I was scared to death. Everybody treated me great. I'm sure there were people behind my back. He was just tough enough son of a bitch. And which is to be expected. You go into any job, you got to prove yourself. And I'm sure there were a lot of people there that didn't like me. Just like when I got that first when I got on WrestleMania, just after being there for a few months. There was a lot of people that did not like that, and that voiced their opinion. Not to me per se, but I remember Lance Storm came up to me and told me, "You got a lot of people pissed at you that you're being on WrestleMania." My point, and I told him, I was like, I don't write the show.
Yeah, how could he be pissed at you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't write the damn show. I realize there are guys here that way more deserve to be on WrestleMania than I do. But what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to quit? Am I supposed to, I consider myself I'd like to consider myself a hard worker and a respectful guy. And I wanted, I wanted to tell him it's either me or it could be somebody else who's not respectful.
Who was some of the people that were not very happy about?
I heard I took, I think Test, and I think maybe Baldo's spot on WrestleMania, and I heard they had a match, and I heard, this is grapevine stuff. I think I took their spot, and Test I'm cool with now. I mean, I'm good friends with Test now, really good friends, and he told me, like years down the road, he was like, "Maven, I was actually pissed at you," and I understand. I understand. Yeah. I understand that because years later. When Maven's been in the business a couple of years, and then it's funny how things go around, because there's years later, here I am in the business, sitting watching WrestleMania, and watching other young guys go out there, and and wrestle, and wishing it was me. That's the way it goes. That's the way this evil business goes.
What kind of rips did they do to you when you first came in?
My first day there, I walked in with a duffel bag. And they chained my duffel bag to the ceiling to the point where I couldn't get it off without cutting the straps. So I had to cut the straps, and then I'm walking through the airport holding a duffel bag like this. It was funny. It was a good rib.
Did they do any that went over the line? Any ribs that would just cross the line?
No one ever ribbed me where it crossed the line. I think a couple times they chained one time they chained a big gigantic garbage can lid to my bag, and I had to get some bolt cutters to get rid of it and stuff. Nothing, all stuff in good fun, you know. Definitely nothing that crossed the line.
Do you know who was doing these?
I'm pretty sure it was Bradshaw. I mean, if I had to put my money on it, I guarantee it would be Bradshaw. I was told though, you'll never find out who did it. But if I had to put money on it, I would say him. Yeah, they were good ribs though.
How was Bradshaw as far as he's always been have a reputation of being a little rough with the newcomers.
He's always had a reputation of, I guess, being a little bit of a bully. But you know what? He was always fine with me. But then again, I never once got in the ring with Bradshaw. I never once stepped foot in the ring with him. So, you know, I might be singing a different tune, you know, if I had to work an angle with him. But he was always cool with me backstage. But then again, me and him were, you know, for a year we're off doing the Smackdown Your Vote stuff. So I mean, we got to know each other, you know, outside of the ring. He's a funny man.
Did the pressure ever get to you?
Got to me a lot. I mean, did it ever get to me where I couldn't perform? No. Or I tried not to let it affect my performance. But yeah, I lost a lot of sleep over the business. I mean, you know, I think you're only human to care about what you do and to take pride in what you do. And when you go out and I remember having a match after WrestleMania in Seattle a couple years ago. The day after WrestleMania, me and Rosie had a match. And the match was going great. Last spot of the match was, you know, hit him with a drop kick, roll him up for the pin. After him and Rico clashes heads, well, I went to drop kick him and missed him by about a good 1.5 feet. Yeah, I mean, and how you missed somebody with a drop kick by 1.5 feet is beyond me, but I did. And yeah, I was sick about that for a week. I mean, I'm talking losing sleep. You know, just sick about it.
What was your experience like wrestling your first big show, the Royal Rumble?
When I wrestled at Royal Rumble, it was nerves. You know, I was actually very, very nervous. You know, because I knew it was my first pay-per-view. It was my first big-time pay-per-view, and you know, I'm working with Undertaker. You know, so I was happy that they put me with somebody. And Undertaker does business. He's a businessman. You know, he was wonderful to work with. I mean, you know, he knew how green I was. He knew, you know, how nervous I was. He pulled me backstage beforehand and told me, this is exactly how we're going to do things out there. You know, I had to get color that night, and I'd never got color, so he did it. And he showed me how he was going to do it. He showed me how he was going to make the gig. And, you know, it was, he helped me get through it. But my God, I was nervous. It's one of those things that was over with. I was so happy.
Who came up with that whole idea with you and him?
I have no idea. I know it was Shane. Shane brought it to my attention. But I don't have a clue who came up with the idea. I'd like to thank him, whoever did. It was.
And how was Undertaker with the whole thing?
I mean, I don't know how I mean, to me, he was cool. To me, he was perfectly fine with it, with all of it.
Can you talk about your first ring rat story?
My first ring rat story, God.
And your second.
We can be here all night if you want.
68, I was on my first ring rat story. Wow. Yes, I can. We were in a Canadian city. And I'm not going to mention which Canadian city, but a good Canadian city. And I was traveling with Al at the time. And we walk into a gym. And inside the gym, there was a trainer. And she was hot as shit. And we're shooting the breeze with each other for a little bit and whatnot. And come to find out, I think she was married. And we had a house show later on that evening. And she asked me, she was like, what time's the show? I was like, well, our house show is an hour down the road, and after that, we're going to a different city. I was like, so I'm going to have to see you next time I'm in town. She's like, well, how long do you have to leave for the show? I think about 2 hours. She's like, where's your hotel room? I was like, Comfort Inn. She's like, can I go with you? Come on. So, yeah. And needless to say, I was busy up until probably, I'd say, 2 minutes before Al was knocking on my door. Let's go. We're gonna be late. So that was a God. I might have to call her.
What was it like doing angles with The Rock?
It was unbelievable. I mean, The Rock is probably one of the main reasons why I wanted to get into the business. Like I said, I'm 225 pounds, 6'2". You watch wrestling and you see guys like Batista, Kane, Undertaker. These guys that are, damn near 7 feet tall or weigh well over 300 pounds. They're monsters. Giants. I'm an average sized human being, but when I saw The Rock doing what he was doing, he's a big guy, great looking guy, big, athletic, agile, but he was bringing entertainment to wrestling, and entertainment in a totally different way. Not entertainment like that I thought had ever been brought to it before, and that's what intrigued me about the business. So when I got to work with Rock, I mean, I was in awe. I mean, I wanted to be like, just out of respect for him, but coolest guy in the world, down to earth, love him to death. I'm happy to see his Hollywood career take off.
Back to Undertaker for a second. Did you expect that whole thing to go further with you and him? The angle longer or?
No, actually, the angle with Undertaker actually went longer than I thought it would. To be honest with you, I didn't expect it to go as long as it did. I mean, it obviously started at the Rumble, and then it went for weeks and weeks and weeks after that until and then I got the hardcore title off of it. And then, for weeks after that, he would come out after my matches and just pummel me. And I remember I had a match with Jericho in Richmond, Virginia. And after the match, and I remember clearly because it was Richmond. Richmond is probably watching my first show ever. I saw my first wrestling match ever in Richmond, and then I'm wrestling Jericho for the title in Richmond. And it was my first time wrestling in Richmond, so it was kind of a homecoming for me. And Undertaker came out and pummeled me, beat the shit out of me after that match. But it was the angle actually went longer than I thought it would.
How different was Al from a trainer to a working with him in the ring?
To be honest with you, he wasn't any different at all. He's a father figure. He's where he got where my relationship with Al started progressing was once we started riding together. Learning more about him outside of wrestling. More about him and how much of a nerd he is, and he collects comic books and watches, and he's got all these nerdy stuff in his house, and I used to love to just bust his balls all the time, and just getting to know Al on a more personal level was in the ring he's the same, because in the ring he's going to train you and he's going to teach you no matter what you're doing.
Memories of your first WrestleMania, which was 18.
Oh man, Toronto. It was I remember it was I was nervous. I was very nervous. And I remember walking out and the ramp was so long. And I remember just walking out and looking out and seeing, I think it was like 68 to 70,000 people in the Toronto Skydome. And it was just like, oh, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that this many people in here and they're all watching me right now, and being able to walk into WrestleMania as the hardcore champion and walk out as the hardcore champion. I was very happy with that.
Thoughts on meeting Hogan for the first time?
Meeting Hogan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I was 5 years old again. It was like being a kid again. I mean, he's very few people you meet are actually larger than life. And Hogan's one of them. He's great guy, nice guy. Actually, it was right after Tough Enough, and it was crazy because he told me, he said yeah, my kid watched Tough Enough. He was a fan. Would you meet him? And I was like, you're asking me to meet your kid? Are you crazy? You're Hulk Hogan. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And it was, that's the good thing. That's the good thing about the wrestling business. Sometimes you get to meet some of your idols from childhood. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, guys like that.
Look, I was going to ask you, during this time, what was your contract exactly from Tough Enough when you won it? What was the?
After I won it, I was under what was called a developmental contract.
That was a year?
It was it was a year contract, and
when they brought you up to the main roster from HWA, you had the same contract, and
I was actually under developmental contract for I don't know how long, but I remember I broke my leg, and they actually called me and offered me an extension, a new talent contract, a 3-year talent contract, while I had a broken leg.
Okay, so that's what you had for the next years in WWE.
For the next 3 years.
A 3-year deal.
3 years, yeah.
And you don't have to exactly go in.
And then I just re-signed a month before they released me.
You don't have to go into detail on what you were making or anything, but was the salary that they offered you, being that there was no competition at that time and there was really no option, and did you feel that you were getting paid what was fair, or?
At the time, yeah. At the time, what I was getting paid was more money than I'd ever made. I was happy with it, and I was I thought what I was getting paid was extremely fair. If my contract was being offered to a Christian at the time or a Jericho or something like that, then absolutely not. But for somebody just coming in new, hadn't really proved themselves, yeah, I thought my contract was very fair.
Thoughts on Steve Austin?
I think I never got to know Steve quite as well. Steve's kind of a keep to himself type of person, and does his own thing. But he was always professional. He's always professional with me. It was funny. He never called me by my name. He'd always call me Raven, and I assume he knew my name. I don't know, but even when we did that thing with me, him, and Simon Dean right after WrestleMania this past year, he's a funny guy. He's a good guy. He's business, and he's damn good at what he does.
Were you surprised that you were pushed so high when Vince drafted you as the fictitious 10 for SmackDown?
Yeah, I was very shocked. I was extremely, extremely shocked when I was the 10th SmackDown draft. Just like I think everybody else was shocked. I mean, but that's the business. You can't. Obviously, there were more talented guys in there. Obviously, and obviously there were probably guys that should have been drafted over me. But it's wrestling. It's a fucking TV show. I mean, it's entertainment. Take it for what it's worth. The last draft that we had, I wasn't pissed because I didn't get drafted. I mean, it's entertainment.
Just wanted to ask you when you first came into the WWE locker room after Tough Enough, were there guys that were just totally brutal on you as far as, they felt that you came from maybe something that was considered a joke, or they just didn't? And was there guys in particular that just gave you a hard time, that just flat out said they didn't respect where you came from?
Crazy enough, there was not anybody. If there were, they didn't bring it to my attention. I'm sure that there were a lot of people who didn't like me and talked behind my back. I'm sure of it. I'm 100% sure of it. But no one did anything to my face. No one was ever rude to me or anything to my face.
What about Nydia? Did she go through any?
Nitty's a different person though. Nitty's all loud and obnoxious and stuff at times, and so I think she might have had it a little bit tougher. But then again, maybe she didn't care.
Yeah. Was it? I'm gonna have to ask this question. There was I heard it around a couple times. Were you dating Nitty at one point?
No, I never once dated Nydia.
No.
Never. No, I've heard that. That's not the first time I've answered that question.
Thoughts on working with Edge and Christian?
Edge and Christian are probably two of the most talented guys in the locker room. They're great. Edge is of all the time I rode with Randy for probably about a year and a half, and of all the people that Randy worked with, he worked with the tops. All the Flair, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Randy told me he had more fun working with Edge. He said, I have so much fun working with him out there, and Christian to me is just ungodly. He can make anybody look good. And I think they did it wrong.
Thoughts on working with the Big Show?
You know what? I think I stepped foot in the ring with the Big Show one time.
Really?
That was it. I drop kicked him in the back when I had the hardcore title one time, and that was it.
Thoughts on Kurt Angle?
Angle's machine. He's a machine. I'll put him up against anybody in the world, and he'll wrestle circles around him. I mean, he's a machine out there. I wish he would use better judgment when it comes to his body, though. I think he's slowly deteriorating his body. How many times it's going to take him breaking his neck before, that's it. And I realize and I respect the hell out of him for loving the business so much. But I would hate to see him. He's got a gorgeous little girl now at home, and I would just hate to see him, hurt himself for the future. But as far as technical wrestling goes, if you'd asked me years ago, because he's wonderful on the mic, he's a total package. To me, he's the epitome of the total package wrestler. If you could package up a perfect professional wrestler, it's Angle. He can talk. He's good looking. He's big, phenomenal wrestler.
Makes it look real.
Exactly. He's out there, and he's entertaining, and what he's doing is entertaining, and he's a total package. I've said it I've always thought, Triple H might be the best wrestler out there. To me, Angle's the total package. I mean, he is everything. And but I think he's.
How was it working with him?
Well, great. He's stiff.
Yeah, stiff. Right.
Oh yeah, he definitely. I mean, there was a couple times he goes and lays kicks in, and you feel it. Yeah, you definitely feel it.
Thoughts on Hardcore Holly?
Holly's another one like Taz. You got a lot of people don't like Bob. I do. I personally like Bob a lot. I do. But you got to earn your respect with him. I remember I did a couple house shows with Bob, and he hit you. And I mean, some people might look at you as taking liberties. He likes to go out there and chop you, and and he likes to hit you hard and do all that stuff. I can take it. I wasn't worried about it. Where I liked Bob was the only time he ever got pissed at me was after a match. He cussed me for not hitting him hard enough back. I think I gave him 3 clotheslines in the match, and he told me that they were the worst clotheslines. He couldn't even sell them. They were that bad. So you better believe the next night I was trying to take his head off. And the harder you hit him, the more he appreciates it.
You don't think he's a bully at times?
Do I think he's a bully?
Mm-hmm.
Some people would view him as a bully. I definitely see some of the younger guys view him as a bully. And I know a lot of the he could be viewed as a bully, to some of the enhancement people that come in. But they got to realize that what we do is it's not ballet. And you're going to get hurt out there. And there's going to be times that you're going to get stiffed. How are you going to respond to it? Are you going to get pissed off? Are you going to go home and cry to your mom? Are you going to suck it up, take it like a man, and do your job? and I think he brings the best. I think he brings that out of people because if he stiffs you, believe me, if he hits you and you bitch at him, you're getting hit harder. You're going to get hit harder, plain and simple.
So that thing that he did on Tough Enough with
Excuse me. That thing he did on Tough Enough, I don't want to hear how he was being the least bit rude to Capitelli. That's bullshit. I was there. I watched the match. I was standing there, 5 feet away from him. I saw worse shit going every night for 5 years on house shows. Every night. I saw him. I saw Bob just before that. And I've been asked this a lot. Before that, Bob had got done working Randy. When Randy first came in, before he became the Legend Killer, Randy was working house shows. And he was working Bob Holly for 8 straight weeks at house shows. For people that don't know the house show schedule, it's, 3 nights. At the time, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Randy was working Bob every night. And every night, Bob was going out, chopping him, beating the shit out of him, just having his way with him. Did Randy ever kicking him, making him bleed? I mean, Randy would come out, his mouth would be busted open. His chest would be cut open from chops. Randy never once came back and bitched. Never once. It's our business. It's what we do. It's wrestling. It's not ballet. If you can't take it, sell insurance. Do something else. Pump gas. I don't know.
how did you break your fibula?
I was wrestling Christian in SmackDown in Calgary, and went to do a baseball slide. Go figure, play baseball for my entire life. And, go to do a baseball slide under Christian's leg. The heel of my boot got caught on the canvas, and slid up over my leg, and knew it right then. Felt it right then. Looked down. My leg was kind of shifted over to the side. I told Teddy Long. Teddy Long was a ref at the time. And then I told Christian. And we continued with the match. This was about 30 seconds into a match, 7 minutes match on SmackDown. And people always ask, oh, man, you continued? You kept going? I didn't feel it. The crazy thing is, with the adrenaline going, I didn't feel a thing. I stood up on it, and I knew it was messed up, but it didn't hurt. So it's not like I was doing something spectacular.
With the Tough Enough thing we just touched on, did you feel that you said you were there? So, what exactly did was it Capitelli?
Yeah.
What exactly were his injuries, or what was it? He just got
He got a busted lip. That was it.
No, and
I think and maybe a black eye.
Okay, and he made the mistake of complaining about it. Right?
I think he cried.
Yeah.
He complained about it. But
he's still outside, right? He's just in the.
I know Cap.
He's an OVW.
He is. Okay.
I know Capitelli now, and I've wrestled Capitelli, and he's a great guy. And I know he probably looks back on that now and realizes it wasn't as bad as he thought. But at the time, it was the first time, he had taken an ass kick.
I think with this too, from people watching that, like when I watched it.
Oh, TV made it look way worse than what it was.
I always was given the illusion that you guys protect each other in the ring. Nobody wants to really hurt each other.
You don't.
But now I'm learning that some people are still like you say, and it happens.
But that's some guys work that way.
Right. And I just thought maybe that I think the big thing with the fans who were watching it saw as that she was his trainer. Should you taking those liberties with the kid you're training? Man, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's a business you're in. Don't bitch and cry. Don't be a pussy. But
you know what you get. I knew what I was getting in. My first match ever with Taz, what we touched on earlier. My first match ever. 2 things happened in that match in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I got my jaw knocked offline, got my jaw dislocated, and I busted my eardrum from 2 pops from Taz. Did he mean to do it? No. Was I, did it hurt? Could I hear out of this ear for a week? No. It's a business. Did I bitch about it? Absolutely not.
Were you surprised when Chris Nowinski
Nowinski.
I butchered it, came up?
To workforce? No, I wasn't surprised at all. Actually, you know what? If anything, it gave me newfound respect for Chris. he lost Tough Enough, but he went back, worked the Indies, kept working, and worked his way up. You know, and I respected that. You know, I can respect anybody who works their way to get what they get.
He comes off kind of cocky,
He's very cocky.
so it's not his gimmick.
No, it's not his gimmick.
That's
It's not a gimmick. It's who he is. It's him. That's Chris. He is a cocky, arrogant person. Naturally, bar none.
Thoughts on your program with him?
I mean, the program that me and him did I thought it could have been so much more. However, there's two green guys in there that might not be able to carry a 15-minute pay-per-view match. You know, you got to look at it from a business standpoint. I mean, could people have got with to be perfectly honest with you? I think the best thing they could have done would have been turn me heel and let me team up with him. But that's neither here nor there.
How was
Needless to say, I like being heel.
he had a real tough break as far as looks like his career's over
His career's done. He's never wrestling again. Yeah.
from the concussions.
He had so many concussions. So many.
Yeah. Do you think he could have been a real breakout? Do you think he had that?
I think for the longest time Chris was getting, you know, I mean, hell, I won Tough Enough, and you know, Chris comes out and he was doing more than I was every week. You know, he was, you know, for months he was doing a lot more than I was, and you know, I'm not gonna blame that dude due to me being injured. I'm gonna give him credit where credit's due. He was doing a good job. You know, he was coming out doing his work in the ring, doing his work on the mic, and yeah, I think he could have done well for the company. He had a great gimmick.
Thoughts on your first Raw match with Triple H?
My first Raw match with Triple H, the squash match, pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, it was. You know what?
What was the idea behind that? What was
the idea? Was Triple H was going into WrestleMania with Booker, and basically Arn came up to me and was like, you know, Maeve, kid, tonight, you know, we need you to do, you know, you need to do a job. He's like, you're probably not going to get any offense in, you know, and this is just going to be a straight heat getting match for Hunter, you know, for him to go out and pummel up on somebody. And I think I threw a couple punches in there, but it was what it was. And you know what? I went backstage. Hunter took care of me out there. He never once stiffed me, never once hurt me. And it was what it was. I thanked him for it afterwards. He thanked me. And, you know.
Did you feel that was like just, I mean, what was the point of it? I mean,
it's the business. It's for all intents and purposes, that night we went back to the 1980s where we had jobbers and I was an enhancement talent, you know, making Hunter look good. And I hope I did that. I hope I made him look good. And, you know, if you start asking yourself what was the point of stuff in wrestling, my God, you're never going to get those questions answered. Because what are the point in anything in wrestling? There is none. So,
do you think losing that badly was? I mean, when you were thinking that, when you wrestled that, when you were going into the match, did you think it was going to have a ramification as far as how well you could get over in the future if you couldn't get any offense?
To be honest with you, at the time, I saw it as
a big match,
as good for Maven. You know, at the time, I mean, I still remember it was in Cleveland, Ohio. And I still remember it because I'm sitting there, rather than me sitting there thinking, oh, shit, I'm wrestling Hunter tonight and I'm not getting any offense in. Rather than thinking that, I'm thinking, you know what? Knowing Hunter's sitting in the meetings thinking, I got to squash somebody tonight. You know, why not Maven? And it could have been because I know Hunter doesn't like Tough Enough. Maybe that had to be some reason behind it. I would like to think that maybe it was because he knew that I could do it. And he knew I could sell for him, and he knew that I could do a good job for him. And in the end, I think it turned out well.
You touch on him not liking Tough Enough. That was mentioned many times. He thought that show was very bad for the business.
Yeah, he made it. He definitely, you know, and he never said anything to me about it. He never came to me, never talked to me, never said anything to me about about his disapproval, dislike for Tough Enough, but it was well known. It was well documented. And I mean, I know he was against it. I know he was against them all, and didn't like it. And probably if has it his way, there probably will never be another one.
Were you ever considered for Evolution?
That was the rumor, but if I was, it sure as hell didn't tell me. Let's be honest. A, there'll never be a black person in Evolution. B, no, they didn't consider me. It'll never happen. Hunter would. I just don't think he respected and liked Tough enough. To be honest with you, you know, I really don't.
To allow it to happen.
To allow it to happen, yeah. And I mean, they made good choices. You know, Randy and Dave are both, you know, phenomenal talents. You know, so they made good choices. I would be doing myself a disservice to sit here and say that I even deserved to even be considered for Evolution. Could I stand up there and look the part? Absolutely. Could I stand up there and talk the part? Yeah, I guarantee it. But I needed a lot. I mean, I know that I was never a great technical wrestler. I realized that. I realized I had a long way to go in the ring. But if you look at it, if you look at where I came from, after 5 years in the business, well, 4.5 years in the business, and after a year and a half to 2 years of that being taken away due to injuries, broken leg, broken elbow, you got to think I'd been wrestling at the most for 3 years. At the most, 3 years. I think I was probably where I was damn near supposed to be, wrestling-wise, after 3 years. I really do. You know, you look at guys who've been doing this. You know, most of the guys who are up in, you know, the WWE have been there for, you know, doing it for 10 years. I've been wrestling for 3 years, and you know, and people want to say, you know, that that I'm not, you know, well, Maven, you know, lacks a lot of skills in the ring. Well, of course I do. I should. Hell, if I don't, something's wrong. You know, there's very few Randy Ortons out there. Very few. Randy gets it. Randy goes out there and is phenomenal. To me, Randy's the best talent on the roster.
You think Randy Orton wouldn't be where he is if it wasn't for Bob Orton Jr.?
Bob got his foot in the door.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob made the call. You know, come check my son out. But Randy's done the rest. Randy's phenomenal. Randy to me is, and I'm not saying it because he's one of my best friends. He's the best talent that they got, I think. I really believe that. I mean, you know, Benoit's aside, Benoit's great. You know, Angle's aside and stuff, best young talent, I should say. Randy's phenomenal. He is, I hope that they don't diminish his love for the business, which is very possible.
Thoughts on teaming with Shawn Michaels?
I mean, I only teamed with him a little bit, but I learned a lot. You know, I learned a lot from teaming with Shawn. Shawn, I know Shawn necessarily, you know, was, you know, had a reputation from the past of being difficult to work with and stuff. But every time I worked with him, I mean, there would be many days he would sit and just shoot the bull with me for, you know, an hour. Just talk wrestling. Just help me out. Try to help me out. I enjoyed it. I really did. I have nothing but respect for Shawn.
Thoughts on Goldberg?
Thoughts on Goldberg? Moneymaker. Man's is oozing charisma. Can't wrestle, but doesn't want to wrestle. Doesn't like wrestling. But
he doesn't like to do it at all. I mean, is that something he was just?
I don't think he does. I mean, you ask my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he likes wrestling. This is my opinion.
Just doing it for the money.
I would think so. I mean, but you know, everybody's got to have their own motivation, and he made a lot of money, so I guess that's his. Great. I mean, oozing charisma. You know, the guy goes out and can get, you know, how many people to, you know, just cheer, you know, out of the rafters.
You had several matches with him?
I never had a match with him. I tagged with him a couple times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tagged with him against Evolution a few times, and I'll tell you, the match was set up to where, you know, I was in there the whole time until he came in at the very end. to wreck house, and that's just the way you got to set up matches for Bill. And what he did in the business, he did well. You know, he made money and yelled, screamed, spit, and was highly charismatic. More power to him.
A lot of the guys, how was he from what you saw? Was he taken in by WWE? I know a lot of I don't think he got along very well with Triple H.
Oh, him and Hunter had supposedly some beef from a long time ago. I don't, I've only heard rumors on that. Bill kept to himself. Bill really kept to himself. I mean, he had his private car. I don't remember him dressing with the rest of the guys many times. He was definitely a loner. He definitely kept to himself.
You feel WWE dropped the ball on him? As far as, I mean, there was things that they did with him that just should have never been done for that kind of character. I remember one time they had actually Goldust put his wig on Goldberg's head during one of the skits, and Goldberg would have never let that happen.
No.
And this minute you have Goldust putting his wig on Goldberg's head, to me, you just took away.
You took away all the years of, sparklers coming up, and
he should have put that wig up Goldust's ass.
Yeah. It's Vince's company. He can do whatever he wants, and if you don't want to do what he wants you to do, then you can go elsewhere. And we all knew when Goldberg came in that it was going to be a very short-lived marriage. Yes. Yeah.
Thoughts on working with Ric Flair?
I still remember Dallas, Texas, going out and working with Ric Flair at a house show, and it was just me and it wasn't Dallas, Texas. Where was it? Might have been Houston, and we went out there and we had nothing. I mean, you had nothing planned, and just Rick was like, "Just listen to me the whole time," and it was the easiest match because I'm not thinking the whole time, and Rick is so fun, and it's like it's great because I'm going back to when I was a kid again. And
you said you saw him take on Magnum.
Magnum TA is my first.
And then you're wrestling.
First match ever, first main event ever, and I really enjoyed working with Rick. I did.
How is he to work with in the ring as far as him calling a match the way? I mean, is it?
You can't hear him when he's calling a match. I mean, you can't hear him. He'll say stuff, and you'll be like, "What?" And you won't hear him and everything, but all his stuff is so signature that you know what's coming.
Yeah.
When he starts winding up and stuff, he wants you to block. All his stuff is signature.
How do those chops feel?
They're not as bad as Benoit's.
No.
Yeah, and not as bad as Holly's, but yeah, they're there. They're in there.
Thoughts on working with Batista?
I like Dave. I love Dave to death. Dave is a guy that could call me tomorrow and I would be anywhere he needed me. And I think Dave made a lot of progress. I had the ability to work Dave before he became as popular as he's gotten, and my God, just the strides he made from then until his champion days. So astronomical strides he made.
Thoughts on being paired with Nydia?
Being paired with her?
Yeah.
I guess I was only paired with her for a little bit, but I knew what they were doing it for. They were doing it to, try to get the whole Tough Enough angle going and stuff. I think it was towards the end of one of the Tough Enoughs, and it was what it was. And I enjoyed it, but equally I was happy when it was over.
During this whole time, did you get a lot? I mean, how was what was the feedback from the agents and the people in charge there that you kind of were having this stop and go push? Like 1 minute you're getting wins, the next minute you're getting squashed, the next minute you're in a top angle, the next minute you're in Sunday Night Heat. What were they feeling? Were they feeling, well, he's not ready, or
You know what? I don't know what they were feeling. A lot of times, a couple of times, some guys, some of the agents, some of the top brass would come up to me and they'd be like, "All right, maybe you're gonna get a chance here. You know, you're in the Survivor Series, you're in this pay-per-view. Let's pick it up. Let's pick it up. You know, this is what we need from you." And then I'd go out and I'd try to do it, and then I would get no feedback from it, or I would be told one thing from one person, and then a completely different thing from another person. You know, and it's just and yeah, or 1 minute, you know, I'd be on Raw doing, being the GM on Raw, wrestling Hunter for the title, you know, after being in 9 segments. And then the next week opening up Raw, you know, losing to Gene Snitsky, you know, and jobbing to Snitsky in 4 minutes, you know, and it's just, and no one ever explained it. Now, I know Vince I heard Vince is very keen on, you know, if you give people too much, kind of taking it back and reeling them in a little bit. And maybe that's what he was trying to do. I don't know. But a lot of the times I'd be getting pushes, and then it'd fall off, and I would never be explained why. Never. From nobody. I would go ask the writers, and they wouldn't know.
how were the? We asked you about the wrestlers as far as how they were to you when you came in. How about the office people and the agents? Mainly the agents, where it's a lot of them are former wrestlers. Did they take to you too, or were they a little hard on you from coming from Tough Enough?
Most of the agents took to me very well. The only agent that never took to me at all was Dean Malenko. Dean, you know, made it obvious. It was obvious from the start he hated me. And,
Really?
Yeah, he never liked me, and that was fine.
Where do you think that came from?
Just because Dean's old school. You know, he's as old school as they come, and
So Tough Enough he hated.
I don't know if he hated the show. I would probably venture a guess that he hated it, and he just didn't like the way I worked, and you know, he didn't think that my work was good, which he has that right to. You know, he has that right for that belief. And but then there was guys like Arn who would help me on a weekly basis, tell me what I was doing good, what I need to improve on, but what did look good, you know, and.
Did Dean actually come up to you and say? I mean, was that just through the grapevine that you just?
Oh no, he made it obvious. He made it very bluntly obvious. He never came up and said anything to me. And actually, I went up to him one time and asked him. I said, "I know you got a problem with me. I want to squash this, you know, Dean, because you know Dean was a guy that going into it, I respected the hell out of. I mean, I respected the hell out of Dean Malenko, and loved having the fact that I could learn from Dean, and." You know, over time, I lost respect for him because he was such an asshole.
And he just didn't want anything to help him. Like he had no interest.
It's not that he helped me. It's just that he went, to me, he went about it wrong. You know, I mean, rather than, you know, all of his, everything was critical. Everything. And I mean, you know, he made it obvious he hated me, which is fine. You know, if you don't like me, get in line. I mean, whatever.
How was some of the other agents at that time, like Michael Hayes?
No, Michael was cool. Michael was always cool. Michael was always encouraging. Man, you got to step it up tonight. he was always encouraging. Steamboat was great. Wonderful.
Fit Finley?
Fit Marvin. Fit was great. Fit was most of the agents were wonderful and wanted to work with me and wanted to help me. I do got to admit, Fit always asked me to come out and get in the ring with him, and you know what? I never took advantage of it as much as I should have, and that's my fault. And that's definitely that was my fault.
Who were some of the other agents that were around at that time?
Terry Taylor was there.
Terry Taylor.
DiBiase came in.
All those guys helpful.
Most of them, you know, a lot of them, you know, I never worked with much. Jack Lanza. Tony Gurria.
Those guys have been there forever.
Yeah. Sergeant Slaughter.
How was he?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to learn from somebody you're marking out to, though. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like
You don't want to disappoint them.
It's like you're a G.I. Joe figure, you know. You want to tell
Last year, you did some stuff with Triple H, Flair, and Batista out Survivor Series.
Mhm.
Why was that angle dropped? Was it just the angle just dropped? What? Do you have any idea why? Or
What was I doing with him?
What was this?
when he was working with Triple H, Flair, and Batista around Survivor Series? Was that?
Yeah. That was
I
yeah.
know.
That was yeah. I do.
Was this when you were
GM.
Yeah.
this okay? And when
And
Triple
then-
H cut that 25-minute promo?
Yes, that's exactly what the day I was GM when he did that. Why the angles dropped, I don't know. And you know what? My wrestling career took a huge, enormous what's the word I'm looking for here? Took an enormous dive. Dive's a bad word. My outlook on wrestling changed in a 7-day span, and I'll tell you how. I've been working with the top guys, working with the big boys, leading up to Survivor Series, did Survivor Series, got color, busted my elbow open, my elbow got infected, went out, did the Survivor Series. The following night, was GM, left Indianapolis, did 9 segments on as GM on Raw in Indianapolis, and I don't think I did bad on any of them. I think actually it was very entertaining. I think it was a pretty high rated show. I think it was a decent show. And wrestled Triple H for the title. I left Indianapolis thinking, if you would have went home, I was on cloud 9. And when I got home, if you would have asked me where my wrestling career is headed, I would have told you. I would have bet my truck. I'd have bet my house. It's taking off. Now's the time. It's taking off. This is what I've been waiting for. This is the break I needed. And then 1 week later, 7 days later, not a promo, not a backstage segment, not a vignette, 4-minute match with Snitsky. Maven, get your job. In a matter of 7 days, I lost my passion for wrestling because I knew I don't want to say lost my passion, but I knew in a matter of 7 days. I said we're starting over again. We're back square one.
Now take us back a little on that. That you with the start with the Triple H. With the whole GM for a week thing, how were you put into that group to begin with Chris Benoit? Who else was that? Was it Randy?
The way I was put into it was in Des Moines, Iowa. A few weeks before that, it was a few weeks before that. I called Batista out. I smacked him on TV, went running out to the ring.
Which is big. I mean, you're right in the top group then.
Yeah.
So
smacked him on TV, went running out there, got a quick roll-up pin on him. Roll out of the ring as he's following me up the center ramp. Out comes Benoit, Jericho, and Orton. Right then, I'm in. There. That's how I got in the group. That's how I got in, and then from that point on, every week it was, just us going out as a unit.
What I'm asking,
I thought it was entertaining.
What I'm asking is, how did you get to that position all of a sudden? Like,
I have no idea.
No, somebody just said, "No, maybe we're going to put you right in the top group now."
The way
it was from one day to the next.
You know how it happened? That was originally supposed to be Shawn Michaels' position, and if you remember, he had to get knee surgery. And hurt his knee. What pay-per-view was that before that? Taboo Tuesday. Hurt his knee on Taboo Tuesday. Hurt his knee before Taboo Tuesday. Still went out, wrestled. I forget who it was. He wrestled at Taboo Tuesday. Put on a great match. Had to get knee surgery. They had a spot open, and
it was Triple H.
That was Triple H. Taboo Tuesday.
And he hurt his knee the night before.
Yes.
On Raw.
And still went out
right.
and wrestled. And that's how I got the spot. It opened up with me and with Shawn.
So it could have been that you were
right
substitute at the beginning.
Right? I was a substitute. There's no doubt about it. I was the substitute. But I got it nonetheless.
Yeah.
Run with it.
So then you went with the whole the GM now. I guess take us to the to where you were GM for that week.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably the most nerve-wracking week of my life.
It was like the Maven show.
It was. It was. I mean, I opened it up. I was in damn near every segment. You know, I had backstage segments with Triple H. You know, the infamous 25-minute long promo. I had segments with Randy backstage, segments with Benoit, Chris, because they asked me if I wanted to be in Evolution, and I decided whether Evolution or shot at the title, and I obviously chose shot at the title. And I mean, I'll tell you what, leaving Indianapolis, leaving Conseco Fieldhouse that night, I was on top of the world. You know, the hardest 2 nights of my life were done, over with, and I was ecstatic. I mean, I thought my career was taking off.
Take us to that promo. What was the whole idea behind that? That he said the same thing over.
Oh, it was a promo where he I walk into, see my sign on the wall, Maven, general manager. I walk into the room and he's sitting there stirring some coffee, and then just goes off about how he wants me in Evolution and how it would be in my best interest to join Evolution.
And it did go on for. At one point, did you say?
Nah, it was like 6 minutes.
It seemed like it went on for a while.
It was a while.
And was there any? I mean, did you know that? What do you think the idea was that he wanted to keep continuing with it? To just reiterate his point, or just have his face on camera, or
it's his show. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If he wants to take 6 minutes to cut a promo, he can do it.
Whose idea was it to turn you heel?
The writers and mine. I've been begging them for years. I mean, I knew I'm a heel. That's just how I am. And I've always liked the heels. Growing up, I always rooted for bad guys. You know, I like a good cocky heel, and I think I like that, and that's what I always wanted to be. So it was definitely my idea as well as the writers.
Just before we skip that, what about your match with Triple H that night when you were the GM? I think you said that was one of your favorite matches.
Yeah,
That's where you got a lot of offense in. I thought, right?
I got no that night I actually did get some offense in. Yeah. I mean, this match, I remember the match started off with, me drop kicking him out of the ring and him taking a powder, So this match, he definitely gave me, I thought he was very fair in this match. I really did.
How'd you feel the match went as far as everything?
I thought it went really good. I thought it went great. I mean, the people were with it. You got a great rating, and I certainly didn't think it warranted a curtain jerking match on Raw the next week with jobbing to anybody. But that's just me. I don't write the show.
Thoughts on working with Eugene?
I like Nick. Nick, I've got a lot of respect for Nick. I've got a ton of respect for Nick. And Eugene, working with Eugene, that's how I was able to turn heel. So, I enjoyed it. I really did. He's easy. He's old school. He knows how to make anybody look good. So I enjoyed it.
Thoughts on your series of matches with Shelton Benjamin?
My matches with Shelton came at the very beginning of my heel turn. So they threw me out there. I'd never worked heel before. Never. Ever. It was all new to me. I didn't know how to do it. So when I was working Shelton, it was all new. Shelton was great. He was out there talking to me. He was helping me out. He was trying to work with me and everything. But the matches were probably the shits. It definitely were the shits, just because I was new. I was learning. I was out there blowing up because the first time I got to give heat instead of get it. And it was a learning experience.
Thoughts on working with Rhino?
I only worked for Rhino one time. I guess was a Royal Rumble last year on the live heat match, but it was great. Rhino was easy. He was easy.
How did you wind up paired with Simon Dean?
Man, Simon Dean was absolutely a mistake, I guess. I guess one day they just, one day they needed two guys. Me and him are working heat, and they needed two guys to tag together, and figured, why not? And we figured it would be a good match. Here's Simon pushing the Simon system, and I'll be your poster child. It worked great. I had more fun working with Simon. I had the most fun working with Simon than I had of any time in my wrestling career.
Was that just him in particular, or working with him?
Just the gimmick. It was working the gimmick all over. The gimmick was fun. It was fun to stand out in a ring and tell Stacy Keibler that she's fat and out of shape and disgusting. It's fun to be able to look around at people in the audience and tell them that they're disgusting pieces of shit because they don't drink the Simon system. That's just fun.
What are your thoughts on Simon Dean?
I absolutely love Nova. He's great. Nova he's one of those guys that is a great guy. I hope he understands his role. He's never going to get a chance. I think his best chance would have been, as me and him tagged together. I think they dropped the ball big time on leaving me and him tagged together. And we told everybody, whatever you're doing here, we love it. We're on to it. We were going to house shows, having great matches, having fun, entertaining the crowd. We had people hating our guts. And I think they dropped the ball on it. I really do.
With Simon Dean do you feel that you don't feel he's gonna get a push more than probably what he is at this point? He's a guy supposedly that was looking to be in the WWE for years. It was his dream to be there,
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think he'll always be a velocity, a heat.
And is he?
I think he knows that. I think he accepts that. I really do.
Yeah.
I think his ultimate goal is to be down in Louisville, running Louisville one day, and I think he'll do that. I think that's what he'll. I think they'll keep him around, and because he's put his time in, he's paid his dues, he's put his time into the business, and that's what he deserves. And I think he'll be happy doing that.
Any memories on the angle that you guys did, you and him in Austin?
Oh my gosh, the night after, there are a ton of memories. I remember getting to the building that day, arriving at the Staples Center, and pull in, and all of a sudden, Simon comes up and pulls me to the side. He's like, "Dude, have you heard what we're doing tonight?" I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "We're working with Austin." I'm like, "Get out of here." And he told me what we were doing, and I was just so excited. I hadn't done it in a long time, but I went and I called my friends at home. I was like, "You got to watch tonight." Where Austin's stunning us, and it was amazing. I've never seen. I remember standing in the ring, and Austin telling everybody to stick up the middle finger, and it was just amazing looking around, watching everybody just do exactly what he said. It's amazing. It really was. I had a blast that night. It was so much fun.
You have any thoughts on how things played out with the ECW one night stand angle? How it just again dropped.
At that point, you say dropped. I say I was reading the writing on the wall. I knew, I knew that my release was probably coming, and I knew that the ECW one night stand was just, I was a body. They needed warm bodies out there to do a job, and that's what I was doing.
Now, why did you feel your release was coming? You were.
It was obvious. I felt it was coming for probably
during the Simon Dean thing.
I'd probably say 4 months. I'd say a good 4 months.
But this is during the
for
Simon
4
Dean
months, I was waiting for the call. Easily. Yeah, during the Simon Dean thing.
Well, I don't know if that's one of the questions, but
and it's crazy because I even signed a contract before then. But I guess I shouldn't say I was waiting for it. I wasn't shocked when it happened. Wasn't shocked when it happened. The ECW thing. I didn't mean to get off track. It was fun. It was a good time. It really was. You know, we stood up there. We got to go. It was at the Hammerstein Ballroom. We got to stand up there and drink and cuss people, and it was fun.
Were you a fan of ECW?
Yes, big time fan of ECW. Yeah.
Was there any tension between the ECW guys and WWE guys? Was there any?
If there was, no one showed it because I think a lot of the ECW guys were there, you know, collecting a payday. Some of them were there hoping to get a job, you know.
Were you there for the Blue Meanie JBL?
I didn't see it. I heard about it. I saw
You
it.
were in the ring brawling, right?
I saw-
With
yeah.
you guys?
Yeah.
Who were you paired up with that you were kind of
I,
at the brawl?
who did I get paired up with in the beginning? I think it was Rhino in the beginning. Then I got thrown out, and then Austin actually hit me with a couple beer. Yeah, in the end.
What's on Eric Bischoff?
I liked Eric. I always liked Eric. I enjoyed Eric. To me, Eric, you know, I think Eric's a talented man. I really do. And I think his days and I think one day he'll be doing stuff other than wrestling. I think he's got talents in other things other than wrestling.
Thoughts on JBL?
I mean, once again, I've never been in the ring with Bradshaw, and you know, doing the SmackDown Your Vote and stuff. I got to know him outside of the ring, so I always got along with John really well.
How did you find out you were being released?
It was ironic that this happened, but I got home. And when you travel all the time, you got rituals. So I got home, you know, ritually took all my wrestling clothes out of my bag, put them in the washing machine, started washing them. I went, took my boots were the soles were rubbing out on me, so I took my wrestling boots to the cobbler, the boot man up the street, and he'd worked my boots before. He'd done a couple other guys' boots, done Jazz's, done Rodney Mack sent me home with his boots. He fixed them. Took them to him, dropped them off. After I dropped my boots off, my wrestling boots off, I went to the bank to go do my banking. And as I'm sitting in the banking, I get a call. I swear I got a call and no caller ID. And you know, I mean, you learn to come to realize that no caller IDs are it's the office most of the time. And I swear I knew it right then. When I saw no caller ID, we had just had a meeting week before that saying how they were going to release people, how people were going to be let go. And I knew it. I knew it. Johnny Ace was on the phone, told me, you know, Maven, we don't think you're progressing quite as quickly as we'd like. You know, we have to let you go. And I said, well, I want you to know I was a good employee. I represented the company well, which I always did. I mean, went on countless, you know, so many different, you know, appearances, you know, media days, this and that, and always represented the company to, you know, at the highest of standards. And he admitted, he actually admitted to me over the phone. He's like, you know what? I got to be honest with you. You probably weren't given a fair shot. You probably weren't given a fair chance. And
So, I'm sorry. Whose ultimate decision was it to let you go? Is that?
I'll never know that.
I mean, Johnny Ace is the main guy, so if he's saying that, then I guess it comes down from Vince. Or is that the only guy above him?
I would think it's a combination of all the agents. Because he said, you know, the agents don't think you're progressing as well as they like. I don't know. I don't know who's. I'll probably never know. I will probably never know.
So,
I don't know.
so I had the conversation exactly after.
He asked me. He said, if you need it, he's like, if you need any favors, you know, any help getting into Japan or anything, let me know. And I was like, no thanks. I guess your days of doing favors for me are over. So, and I really wasn't upset. I was more stunned than anything, because I honestly believe that was I a great technical wrestler? No. Was I great in the ring? Psychological wise? No, absolutely not. If given a chance to develop and given proper guidance, could I have been entertaining? You bet your ass. You bet your ass I could have. And more than anything, I think I didn't leave mad at all. I guess I left frustrated and upset at the fact that I don't think I was able to do everything that I had in me. I don't think that I was able to show all my skills, if you will. But
Was there was some sort of reports that you had a little bit of a I guess before you were released there was something going on where you and Randy Orton were kind of acting up on the road,
or partying and stuff.
party and stuff, and Randy got the free ride because it was Randy, and you maybe that kind of got you in that mix of guys really.
Well, and if that's the reason why, did me and Randy go out and party? When we were on the road, absolutely. Any more than anybody else? No. Did we go out and have fun? Yeah. You damn right we did. Knowing that might have been the reason, would I have changed it? Hell no. I would still went out and did the exact same things that I did. Why? Because I showed up to work every day and I did my job. If that's the reason that they gave, that's bullshit. I mean, this is wrestling. Look at all the people that have been arrested, and look at all the people that have had drug problems and alcohol problems, and beating their wives and this and that, and bring bad publicity. And they're going to get mad, or they're going to say something because me and Randy sit in strip clubs, a couple nights a week and have some drinks. Nah, to hell with that. If that's their excuse, then if that's their excuse, I'm glad not to be there anyway.
It's have they totally soured you to the business now?
They've soured me to their aspect of the business. I still love wrestling. I still absolutely love the entertainment aspect of it. I still love. I still love I love it, but I don't like the way they run it sometimes. I have good things to say about them and bad. I mean, I have. The WWE, they took care of me when my mom was sick and when my mom was dying. They told me, go, be with her, call us when you're ready to come back. And for that, I'm very thankful. But I don't like the way they treat people. Releasing me, I'm the tough enough kid. That's no big deal. All right, I've been there for 5 years. Not a big deal. But when you go and you release Devon Dudley, who had wrestled for your company for 7, 8 years, through countless TLC matches, made so much money for your company. When you go and you don't take care of a Christian who not only made your company money, but makes everybody that he gets in the ring with look phenomenal, a great talent. When you don't take care of people like that, it makes me question, the motive, what motivates that company. They've soured me to their ends of it.
How thick of a skin do you have to have in this business? I mean, you can't go into this business, whether it's a wrestler or any form of being in it, without really, having getting a thick skin very quickly. Because you could be eaten alive and made to feel like nothing.
You learn to callous up real quick, and you learn what to take to heart, or what's being told to you to make someone else feel better, if you know what I'm saying. Wrestling business is full of it's full of empty promises and empty empty promises and false hopes. They promise you the world. They make you seem to believe that they're going to give you the world, and everything, and then if you don't fit into their mold, they chew you up, spit you out, and I didn't even think twice. I don't have a family. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. So, for me to get released, it's like, there's other stuff I can do. I've already done other stuff. I'm in the process of doing other stuff.
Who do you think was your biggest detractor at WWE?
What do you mean?
As far as someone who's maybe just anti-Maven, besides, I guess, Dean Malenko.
Yeah, I think Dean was definitely the ringleader of the group.
I mean, was there any other agent or wrestler who just said, you know what, if you're gonna let somebody go, maybe might be the guy.
You know what? If that person's out there, I don't know. I would maybe Hunter, just because he didn't like the Tough Enough thing, and the Tough Enough people have been.
You guys have been decimated.
Yeah, we're slowly a dying breed.
Yeah,
and so maybe him. Other than that, if they're there, I don't know.
You think Nydia should have been released?
Yeah, because she wanted to be. Nydia wanted to be. She didn't like it anymore. She lost her love for the WWE. She was happy. She was ecstatic when she got released.
Same thing. False promises and false pushes and.
Perhaps. But no, she was happy. She was happy. The phone call I got, I was expecting.
Why do you think you were the most successful Tough Enough winner?
I don't know. Was I? I mean, there's Johnny Nitro's doing pretty good. Yeah, he's doing really good. I guess.
But his is basically.
Why was I?
He got there. He's just brand new getting up there. You were there a while. I mean, yeah, he's a Tough Enough winner, but he's just got to the top recently. He was,
He's also very good on the tag team, where if that tag team dissolves at any point,
he's done.
His chances could be very, very rough.
You think?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think he's good because the tag team partner he has.
Yeah.
Like you,
And
you
skirt
have
that's
a
with
natural charisma on your own.
And what?
And the skirt that's with them.
I don't know. Maybe because I was the first. I don't know. I would like to think it was because I had a charisma about me. I had something that people for some reason saw something in, and thought that there was it was worth putting time and money into it.
Why do you think Daniel Puder didn't succeed?
I don't know Daniel that well. I don't know him at all. I don't even know what he's doing now. I don't know if he's still wrestling, if he's back in the shoot fighting, or
He must be very sour.
or what. Yeah, I mean, he never even got a chance, did he?
No,
he went
just
to-
abused.
Yeah, abused, went down OVW, started getting a push in OVW, and then next thing you know, gone.
Really?
Yeah, he was. They set up a whole thing with him to wrestle for the title down there. Heyman was doing the right thing by him, and the next thing you know, boom, gone, fired.
And also the thing with Angle, where he was very, they thought that was a missed opportunity to push him when he got
Got the
key lock.
the key lock on him. When they had that thing for Tough Enough. Did you see any of that?
That's it.
Yeah, they actually
I don't
had.
watch wrestling anymore.
Okay, they actually had to do a thing in the ring together.
It was they were shooting.
They were shooting, and he actually, an Angle was doing it for real, and he hung with Angle in the ring, and he got and he thought he was supposed to actually do something because they never told him not to, hold back, and he put a key lock submission on Angle, and he actually had it on Angle, and everybody thought that was a perfect way to make a superstar.
Well, they counted the pinfall just to finish it up.
Right.
The referee, seeing that Angle was in trouble, counted a quick pinfall because Pewter was on his back. And ever since then, I think he's had, they just had it in for him.
Could have been it.
And he just was confused. He didn't know what to do.
Because they told him.
So are you saying, did he get the better of Angle?
Yeah.
It looked like he was going.
Supposedly was that Angle was told to do one thing, and he was told to do another. And Angle was told, you're going in there, you're going to shoot, but you're going to pin the guy, blah blah blah. But Pewter was supposedly told to shoot, and he had that,
mentality.
and that background, and he shot and he got a key lock on him, and Angle was like, what the frick is going on here? And they could have made they could have made a superstar. Had a feud with Angle, but
Not that Angle would have tapped out or anything, but they could have. The referee freaked so much that because Peter was on his back, he counted the pin, but they didn't even try to follow up. They could have built a little bit of a story. Yeah. Or
they shipped him right out after that.
they shipped him right out. Actually, he was in a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
It was his next match, and he just was. They brought him in to get abused and then tossed out.
Yeah,
and then he was done.
Mm-hmm. Did you follow the last Tough Enough at all, or?
No, not really. Not really.
What was the third Tough Enough? The
Peter. Oh, the third Tough Enough was the
okay.
the girls, right?
Yeah.
Jackie and Linda.
Yeah, and Linda never did.
Well, she did Shaniqua. She was Shaniqua for
Right, but that was.
How'd you feel about them too? As far as I'm assuming all these Tough Enough people had a little bit of a bond together.
Yeah, we definitely did. And
I like their downfall was Jackie and
Jackie. I heard Jackie's downfall was she likes to speak her mind too much. She likes to talk a little bit too much and tell people how she feels. But and I don't know why they released Linda so quick. But yeah, they were. I was up. They were in OVW most of the time we were on the road. So I don't.
Do you think that Tough Enough exposes the business too much?
Not at all. Well, what we do, let's face it, wrestling business became its most popular ever I think everybody would agree in the mid to late 90s, in the 97ish. And by then the business had been exposed, people knew what it was and knew what to take it for, It's predetermined. It's entertainment. Take it for that. Is it tough? Yeah. Is it painful? Yeah. Is it wear and tear? Absolutely. But still, lo and behold, it's entertainment.
Do you have any plans to go to TNA or continue on the Indies, or you just want to?
I'm definitely keeping my options open. Whether it be working on the Indies a little bit, whether it be going to TNA. I like the things that TNA are doing. I don't watch WWE product anymore, but I do watch TNA's, and because I got my buddy Devon works there, and yeah, I would definitely keep my options open with going there.
Have you ever been contacted by them?
Have I ever
been contacted by them?
I've talked with them through other people.
Yeah.
Okay. Your favorite match? Oh.
Favorite match of all time?
Yeah.
My favorite match of all time would probably, crazy enough, have to be probably that the Royal Rumble match I did with Undertaker. That and the match I had when I was general manager with Triple H.
Your worst match?
I had 2 consecutive house show matches with Shelton. One was in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. The other one was in somewhere in New York. Begins with a P, I forget. Anyway, Poughkeepsie. It was my first 2 matches as a heel. And I had no clue what I was doing out there. I blew up, got tired. The matches were the shits. And they were, 2 matches that I would like to take off my resume.
Favorite guy to work with?
Favorite guy to work with? Christian. I have a group of them. Christian was fun. I had fun. Randy Orton was definitely fun. Enjoyed working with Lance Storm. Lance was always easy and fun. And probably Val Venus. Even though Val chopped the hell out of you all the time and would sit there and laugh at you for chopping him.
Did you have a least favorite guy to work with?
Least favorite guy to work with. No, nothing that really sticks out of my head right now. I'm trying to think of somebody that chronically would hurt me. And nothing sticking out in my head. I enjoyed working with Matt Hardy too. Worked a small little program with him before I broke my arm, and he was fun.
And you have any good road stories?
Oh my God, I got some great road stories. Like what? What are you looking for?
I don't know, something that
Something crazy that happened.
something crazy happened, or it's just a story that you like. You tell people, like, oh yeah, when I'm on the road, this one story just doesn't leave your mind.
All right, so it's me, Edge, and Randy, and Randy's will kill me for telling this story. We're in a what was it? An IHOP one morning, and we go in and we're getting ready to work out, so we go in and get some breakfast. We all order. Food comes to the table. Everything's fine on mine and Edge's end. Well, Randy doesn't get his food. Then the lady brings out, he orders poached eggs. She brings out these eggs, and they're not poached. So he sends them back. Then he's like, can I get my oatmeal at least? So she brings out his oatmeal. And in his oatmeal, there is standing water about that deep in the top of it. And it looks like toilet water. And Randy's like, what the hell what is this? And the woman looked at him and said, something to the effect of, well, why didn't you just stay at home and cook your own breakfast this morning? And Randy, all right. So he took the oatmeal and just threw it in the middle of the IHOP, up in the air and on the ground. Bam! He just sat there like nothing happened. I was losing it. I was dying laughing. It was so funny. So funny. And the manager came out and was like, you got to pay for this. He's like, I'll pay for 20 oatmeals as long as you get one of them right. And so they finally brought him his oatmeal out. And I was sitting there when he did it. I'm counting all my food to make sure I have everything, because I'm like, they're going to spit in their food so bad. Another fun time, we were in Boston, and there's this restaurant called Calhoun's we go to after our shows in Boston. And one night it was me, Randy, and Jen Track, and we were kind of probably the last ones rolling in there. And the fans come to learn that we go to these restaurants. And so there are 100 people out there waiting for us. So, we get in our heads, and there's some security guards there. We talk to cops. We're like, we're going to stage a fight, and y'all get it, help us out. So Mark and Randy stage a fight, and I'm getting in between them. And the fans bought it, and all we did it for was to see if it would make the internet. And the next day, it was on every internet site, wrestling site. WWE superstars get into it for real in Boston. It was great, and it was staged. The cops, they did a great job too. They, took either Randy or Jindrak, threw him in their cop car, and left with him.
Wow.
And everything.
That was good.
It was good stuff.
What do you miss most about the WWE?
Oh, the road and the guys. I miss I miss the, it really is, for as many people there as, that might not like you, or many people there that, talk shit back on you behind your back, or, don't respect you. Some of my best friends in the world are there. And that's what I miss. I miss that. I miss sitting in the dressing room and just laughing and cutting up with everybody. I miss, being an idiot with Randy running around, chasing Shelton, calling him darkness. I miss I miss the boys. I miss the camaraderie.
How did you feel about all the WWE cuts that you were in? I think they fight about what was 20 people, right?
Yeah, about 20. Yeah, I was one of 20.
Some of those shock you. Some of them
didn't shock me, but some of them definitely. My God, yeah.
What about Mark Ginger? Did that shock you?
No, not really. Jindrak he was in the boat with me. He was in the same category as me. Didn't shock me. Didn't shock me much. You can read the writing on the wall with people that they weren't using.
Spike Dudley.
Yeah, you know that kind of no. When they let the other Dudleys go, then no, that didn't shock me.
Yeah.
Who else? Give me some other names. Who else?
Matt Morgan.
Yeah, that kind of did shock me because Matt. I mean, here's a big athletic guy who's
But that gimmick was terrible.
it was stupidest gimmick ever.
Ridiculous. Just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
What?
I've seen. But one of them.
Mumbling. I mean, yeah,
Stuttering?
yeah. It's
A guy like that?
What does it take you? That's like one angle, you're done. Well, what do you do after that?
Yeah.
Kill yourself.
It's like, what do you do with Eugene after it's over with? That's what I kind of hope. I don't know what they're doing with Nick.
Actually, there was a report. I don't know if you heard this yet, but Eugene was on a. Did you even hear this?
No.
He was on an overseas tour.
Got sent home.
He was sent home. Yeah, he was sent home before he was rushed to the hospital, and then he was sent home.
Yeah.
Some sort of they don't know if it was alcohol or drugs or something, but he's all right. But he's been sent home from that tour. That was just happened as of 2 days ago or yesterday.
Really?
Did it bother you that when you were released that less talented guys were kept? Or
Less talented like who?
there's a lot of guys that are less talented. I mean, in that.
Let's say less charismatic.
Yeah.
If you want to,
some of them do.
guys like let's say Lance Cade at that one point was having a little trouble with the charisma. Who else would we say? Maybe Rosie.
I love Rosie to death, and
I personally feel like Chris Masters. I just
Yeah,
don't, I don't see nothing. As a fan, I'm like, all right, no.
I don't pay the bills for the company, so I can't say who stays and who goes. Was I hurt? Yeah, definitely. I mean, your pride is definitely attacked a little bit when there are guys there that can't entertain as well as you. But then I look at the guys that in the past that they've let go, and you can't believe it. I mean, it's some of the guys that they've let go in the past. Test. How the hell you let Test go? I mean, here's a big, great looking guy who's decent in the ring, and not bad on the mic. So they've definitely let guys go in the past that I don't understand, and my pride was hurt a little bit. Definitely.
Were you surprised Christian left?
I think they did Christian so wrong. I really do. Was I shocked? No, absolutely not. Christian's one of those guys that he should have been a career. He should have retired with WWE. He should be an agent one day. I mean, he should never have left. They should give him however much money he wants within reason. And because Christian makes other talent look better than what they are. Plain and simple. I broke my leg with him, and he wrestled me for 7 minutes, and we went back, and when we got backstage, they didn't even know my leg was broken. It's not me. That was Christian. I was green. I was a couple months into the business.
How did they do it wrong? You're saying by the push they gave him? That just, again, a stop and go push.
With Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just never viewed him as a main eventer, whether he wasn't big enough or what. But he's one. He is. I mean, there is someone who is wrapped with charisma, just filled with charisma, and they did nothing with him.
Thoughts on Chris Benoit?
I love Chris. I have about as much respect for Chris as anybody. And I heard rumors, I don't know if they're true, that they might be trying to strong arm Chris with the money situation too. And for Chris's sake, I hope they're not. And I'll tell you why. Because Chris lives he lives and breathes wrestling. It's his life. And I wish him the best. And I really hope that he can, retire in peace. He just lost his good buddy Eddie, and yeah, I mean, I feel for him.
But getting to that,
Yeah.
how did you feel
Your thoughts on
about Eddie? Were you good friends with him?
what happened?
Yeah, I was. I got a call early, I guess Sunday around noon, when everybody found out. A couple of the guys called me and told me, and I was just shocked, devastated. But Test wrote a good article, and I mean, it's sadly enough, and sadly enough, it's not a matter of if, it's when. when's the next going to happen? It is. I mean, you know, it's a rough business we're in. It is, and it's not a business that necessarily is. I guess the people don't necessarily use the best judgment sometimes.
Is the promotion at fault for this?
No, absolutely not.
Well, let's say as far as that the wrestlers have to work all year long.
No off season and stuff.
No off season. They have to keep in a good physical shape. They have to continue bumping every 4 or 5 nights a week.
I'm a firm believer though that you pick your destiny. We all choose what we're going to do. You know, I mean, I have a lot of flaws, and you know, I have to accept them. No one's going to accept them for me. I have to. You know, I can't blame anybody but myself. You know, what happened with Eddie was extremely sad. You know, I pray for his family, and my heart goes out to his family. Eddie was a great guy. You know, nothing but respect for him. And, you know, the wrestling business, it's sad to see him go.
What are your goals now that you are in the WWE anymore?
My goals? I have one goal, and that is to be happy with whatever it is. My next, I don't know what my next career is going to be. But whether it's going to be staying in wrestling, hopefully try to get into independence, maybe do some stuff with TNA if they would have me. I don't know, but I want to be happy. For the longest time, I wasn't happy wrestling with WWE. For the longest time, I was not happy, and that's what I want.
If the WWE called tomorrow, would you go back?
Tomorrow, no. They call tomorrow, no. I mean, I know in this business, never say never. You know,
But for now, it's never.
but for now, no. But right now.
Do you feel like if you did go back, you would have to get more of a concrete outline of how you would be used?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would get that stuff figured from the, you know, why go back into, you know, why
be miserable?
exactly? Why go back into the pits of hell if you just climbed out? And you know, but so they can release me again down the road? No thanks.
Thoughts on Vince?
Vince is a businessman. I hold no ill feelings towards Vince. He is a businessman. He runs his business the way he sees fit. The day I own any business, I'll run it the way I see fit. And, you know, he can do whatever he wants. It's his baby.
Do you think Triple H is good or bad for the business?
I think Triple H is good and bad for the business. I think he's good in the aspect of there's absolutely no better wrestler than him. He's phenomenal. In the ring, he's phenomenal. But I question his motive sometimes, you know, with what he does, politically wise. But then again, you know, it's his business.
Do you read newsletters
Nope.
or the internet?
Nope. I don't watch the show. I don't read the newsletters. I don't get on the internet. I'm wrestling free. The only thing I do with wrestling is shows here and there and talk to my friends.
Are you that sour on the business that do you just need a break now? Or
I think so. I think a break is doing me good because I'm starting to actually get hungry again. Starting to get the itch, want to get back into it. But I still have no desire to turn. I have no desire on Mondays or Fridays to turn Raw or SmackDown on. None whatsoever. No desire, at all. And I know my buddies are even wrestling. And I still have no desire. None. That's strange.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, that.
And it's weird because here you're taking someone who's watched wrestling since they were small, and now
It's tough to watch something again where you just felt you like.
They did you wrong.
Yeah.
it's very tough.
Yeah.
Can you talk about this? I don't know if people know, but you're going to be on this Real Life. Can you talk about that at all, or?
Yeah, that's real. I mean, I just got done. I guess by the time this comes out, this Real Life will probably be aired. So I just got done filming This Real Life, and it was a lot of fun. Good, a lot of good characters are on it.
How'd you get into that? How'd you get to do that?
After I stopped wrestling, I got a call from a bunch of people out in LA. And I went and I spent some time out in LA, meeting with agents, meeting with different people, and they were saying, you can come out here and work. All you gotta do is move out here, and I just haven't decided if I want to move out there and relocate to LA. I know Hassan is out there now and working, but I guess through some of the casting directors and stuff that I met, they called me up one day and was like, "Would you be interested in maybe doing The Surreal Life?" And I said, "Nah, not really at first." And then I thought about it more, and I was like, "Why not? Why not? It's a good opportunity. Who gets that opportunity much?" And
That seems like a real breakout. I know it's a lot of like, I guess you could say
has-beens. Yeah.
but the exposure alone,
Oh, the
that'll
exposure's
get you.
the exposure's phenomenal. I mean, think about it. It's one of VH1's top-rated shows, and they replay it umpteen times a day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There's just one question I want to get back. It's a little personal, and if you don't want to answer, I'm a little confused personally. You say that your mom was sick, but there was talk that it's your aunt.
Yeah, it's very simple.
I just don't I didn't want.
No, it's not personal at all. My biological mother died when I was 2, and when she died, before she died, she asked her brother and sister if anything ever happens to me to take care of Maven. She said, if I ever pass away, will you guys take care of Maven? So, in essence, my aunt and uncle, from 2 years old, adopted me. And when I was 2, I grew up there with mom and dad. So my mother that recently just passed away, in all aspects, she was my aunt.
Okay.
But
So
she was mom.
So your biological mom passed away, and then your mom.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was, but I just wasn't positive on that.
Yeah.
So you got 2 tough breaks there then.
Yeah, well, I had 20-some good years with a great mom in between that. So.
Do you have any siblings?
I have 2 half brothers.
Okay. All right. We're gonna finish up with you now, Maven, and if you have anything to say to your fans, or who are still out there, or that may watch this in real life, or anything tidbits you want to give, or even friends or whatever, just say.
To everyone who's been a fan of wrestling, if you've been a fan of me or not, I just want to thank you for your support throughout the years. The past 5 years of my life have truly been a blessed period in my life. And to all the great fans out there, to all the great wrestling fans, WWE fans, or just fans alike, I want to thank you. I want to say I appreciate just everything that you've put in, your love as being a fan of wrestling. Watch The Surreal Life. Watch anything that Maven does in the future, and God, best of luck to you, and God bless.
Thank you, Maven. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
TitleMatchNetwork.com